Yay! Hi, I'm Susan McConnell. This is Lorraine Ball. I'm Susan, your LinkedIn for the Reserve Champion. Thanks for joining me. I actually got it right this time. So excited. I host this conversation every Tuesday at 12 with different business owners to light up my community's network with actionable ways that they can improve their business because we're all here to improve and we're all here to help each other. And so that's great. So welcome, Lorraine. Actually, let me tell you a little bit about Lorraine first. Lorraine is an entrepreneur, a true entrepreneur. She's an author, she's a professional speaker, and she has a podcast. It's called More Than a Few Words, which she's had for a very long time.
Mhm.
And she brings very many creative ideas, practical tips, and decades of real world experience, which I very much know that to be true. She's also the creator of the Digital Toolbox, which I love and I refer to everybody, where you can get online marketing help for small business owners, especially when you need to learn things that you are otherwise having trouble learning, because some of these marketing ideas are very, very complicated for such as I, as in sales. So welcome, Lorraine. So glad you're here.
It is so nice to be here. Thanks for the invite.
You're welcome. Thanks for being a test from all my new fun things I just did.
That is I think the key to online marketing is the willingness to get out there and try something new because there's always something new.
There's always something new, and you're always gonna like make a mistake, and it's
Mhm.
okay because
Mhm.
everybody expects it live, and it's okay to be just normal and yourself. And I think that a lot of people think you have to have it perfect. And believe me, look at some of my past broadcasts. You know that's not true.
Yeah, that's it. But I think that gives it a certain authenticity that actually draws people in. I think one of the things when people try to make it too perfect, it feels very stuffy, very corporate, and people look at that and go, yeah, that's not real. Nobody is really that good or that perfect or that polished.
True, but sometimes I kind of feel that way with some people. But then again, they've been doing it for a long time, and they have it down. And that's what I mean. I've been doing this for I don't know, like 3 or 4 months, and I still have a ways to go.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Yeah,
actually going to try to do one on my own at some point too, which would be fun.
good for you.
Yeah, I'm going to get out there and try it. So, anyways, let's talk a little bit about your ideal client. Interestingly, for a client that I'm going to be doing some actual sales training for, he had me go through a whole market analysis and my ideal client for what I do. And I was
Mhm.
like blown away at the questions and how you actually came about it and how more complicated it is
Mhm.
than you think it is.
Absolutely. I think the thing is that everybody drops into the very simplistic demographic age, income, marital status. And while that's a good starting point, it's not enough because two people will look identical on paper until you really dive in.
Yeah, and it's almost even the same when you're talking about a business. It's
Mhm.
a business that has 10 people. So what? They're in the United States, and like you can't just even picking industries. It's like there's so many other things to it. So what's I guess the difference we have it here between a typical and an ideal client.
Ah,
That's a
so
good.
I think the demographic information can give you the typical. This is kind of who we think we want to work with. But the ideal is really the subset. It's okay, so there are 20 companies. Let's say you're a consultant and you work with businesses. But not every business, just as you said, not every business with 20 employees and 25, $2.5 million in sales is going to be a good fit. That's the typical. The ideal really takes you into some of those more tighter and tighter niches. And in order to find your ideal client, you almost have to look at who you're already working with. You have to look at what what are the characteristics of the clients that you love and start writing those down and then start looking at what makes those people special. We used to do an exercise with my team and we would go through and everybody got to write down. Oh, my office cat's wandering around. um,
Love the office cat. That's why we're not
we
perfect, right?
that's right, but we would write down if we could only work with 3 clients,
Yeah.
who would it be? And
Yep.
each member of the team got a chance to list out their clients. And then what we looked for, what were the common factors? Was it the kind of work we were doing? Was it the way the customers interacted with us? What were those characteristics that
Oh,
made them an ideal client? And
characteristics.
for us, we found that back in the day, if we were working with the owner, it was a good relationship. If we were working with the marketing manager, it wasn't a good client.
Ah,
If we were working in service industries, those were good customers. And that it could be B2B and it could be B2C services, but service industries. If we were working with companies that had products to sell, that was a less than ideal. And so as you go back and you go through that exercise over and over again, it's like, okay, why do we love this customer? Why do we not love this customer? And then once you do that, once you know, now you start creating marketing to attract more of the customers you love. So instead of doing generic, hey, if you're a business owner with 10 employees, we should talk.
right.
Do you own a service business? Are you looking for innovative ways to tell your story to your customers? Now, I mean, we could really target the messaging and really make it a lot more focused. And we have a cat tail.
We love cattails.
Okay, would you like to meet the cat? All
We
right,
want to
yes.
meet the cat, totally.
Okay, so, on the one hand, everybody's like, oh my God, you have them wander all over the place. But the truth is, the cats have always been a part of our business. And I even insisted, I even insisted that they were part of our marketing, because anytime we did a social share that featured one of the cats, we actually got more engagement, which jacked up the algorithm, which then allowed us to do more business types of posts and get good visibility. So yeah, the cat's part of my life.
I've heard that too about different posts. But I love the comment about, and actually I think that when I did it was like, who are your clients now? What do you love about them and what do you don't love about them? And it was interesting. I loved them and I loved working with them. But what I didn't like about them was that they didn't want to do a lot of the work. And I was trying to figure out how I figured that out. And it was like, and then I realized that maybe I'm in the wrong area. Maybe I need to change my ideal client, which I did.
Well, and you just said something that's really interesting. It's what do you don't love about them? Because the other half of that activity was, okay, if we had to fire one client, who would we fire? And it was interesting because a lot of times everybody had the same client that they were like, okay, we need to get rid of them. That was easy. Then we would just have that conversation. But there was one time where everybody on the team was like, oh my God, we have to get rid of Catherine. And one woman on my team said, really? I like Catherine. And we went, great, you're going to be the account manager. Right. And sometimes, where there's that disconnect, it's because maybe you've got the wrong people managing the client. And so, but again, we also identified, all right, what is it about Catherine that makes everybody crazy? And in that instance, we learned kind of what you just learned, expectations. We weren't setting expectations up front about what the relationship really needed to be and what we were going to do and what the client needed to do.
Absolutely. And it's interesting because when I have the discussion with the people before I bring them on, I kind of do bring them through some of that. But that's not like in finding your ideal client, you almost have to go through some of that while you're trying to onboard them. So you have an ideal client that you think, and then you have to qualify on them more to be like the total ideal client before you.
A lot of times, and particularly I think in coaching and consulting work, you are constantly training your clients how to work with you, having the conversations on, we're doing good work, but if you want not good results, but great results, here's 3 things that won't cost you any money, but if you do these things, we can do a better job of helping you. And the clients that are receptive to that go on to be great clients, and the ones that typically don't stay very long. So I always say, if you start to feel that like they're not putting it in, you better be looking for the client to replace them, because either you're going to have to fire them or they're going to go away because it's
Right.
not going to work.
Right. And that's so true, even in my experience, even in sales, working with different clients. It's interesting. So now that we know that, I think there's almost two ways to look at your ideal. There's the ideal that you want to target, and then there's the ideal you want to bring through that process to have them be the ideal client. It's almost like a double ideal.
Yes.
New word for us. And so what's wrong with working with elephant clients much larger? I love that because I try it.
Well, okay. So there, as your business grows, hello, Thomas. Thank you so much. That was really nice of you to say. As you grow your business, your ideal client will shift up. When I first started, I did a lot of really micro enterprises, and then we started working up, a little bit bigger clients, more comprehensive. But there's always that one client out there that's going to stretch you. That's okay. But the one that's going to bury you. The problem with an elephant is that they are way bigger than you're used to. And they're going to ask you to do things that you don't normally do.
Right.
The challenge with that is it will eat all of your resources trying to take care of that one elephant. It may be a very large dollar, but it may not end up being really profitable. Number one, if you invest too much of your resources in one client and that one client goes away, you no longer have a business. So there's that. The second thing is that as you try to accommodate that client, you make a lot of compromises. Yeah, we'll include that because you're paying so much. We'll include that because you're paying so much. And suddenly, if you look at your bottom line, you'll discover you're not making as much money on that one big client as you would on lots of smaller ones. It often impedes because you as the owner, like you can't delegate as much to a team that was running on autopilot with your regular clients because everything is, oh, this is different. So we can't use our standard system. This is different. And so you have to be more hands-on. Well, the more hands-on you have to be with that elephant client that's sucking the life out of your business, the less time you have to sell, to deal with your other clients.
Exactly.
So I have a solution to the elephant. And that is, I have always partnered with a company that's a little larger that handles bigger clients.
Oh, great idea.
And so I felt very comfortable when an elephant came to me. Look, I really love you. What you're looking for is beyond what we do. Let me introduce you to someone who I think can really take care of you. And in return, I might send one elephant up to that bigger company, but they might send me 5 clients that are much more in my sweet spot, that when you add up the total volume is probably the same value, but because it's typical kind of what I normally do, it was much easier to handle it, and my business was healthier. I had a great referral relationship. And the client was thrilled. So it was a win-win-win for everybody.
Yeah. No, I completely agree. We have witnessed it. We have done that. And it's definitely, it's not worth your time, and you're better to have partner relationships. I have quite a few. And there are just some people even that you meet in person and you just go, you know what? I'm never going to be able to get them to do what they need to do, and I need to give them to somebody else. And I've done it.
Yes. I think people, I think people, especially when you're starting out, it's scary to say no to someone because you're like, but what if I don't get another client? Or it's scary to fire someone that isn't a good fit. But every time I had to do that, where I had to either say, you know what, we're not going to be a fit, or listen, I love you personally, but I hate working with you. As soon as I did that, there was like this huge weight that just got lifted, and I was more energized and I was more excited again about my business, because working with clients that you're not doing your best work for, you're not loving what you're doing, it weighs on you. it just starts to wear you down, and you start to question why you're doing what you're doing. And when you can replace them with somebody who is a good fit, who you can really do high quality work for, it's it's just my happy place. And you just get jazzed and energized, and um you love talking about the interactions and the results. And now you can talk to somebody else and say, hey, I'm working with a client that's kind of like you, and this is what we did, and this is what worked, and we can do that for you. And there's that energy that just isn't there when you have a business that doesn't fit.
Yeah, it's the truth. You're better off to partner with people and at least have a good relationship all around than
Mm-hmm.
to screw it up and have larger clients. It's interesting. And we didn't really talk about this before, but so when you're planning your marketing strategy and you
Mm-hmm.
want to pick out your ideal client, you said you talked about demographics, the person, like give me some ideas of how deep you can actually go. This might be really helpful for people to hear because it was amazing what I saw.
So, I'm going to go back, and I'm going to give you a consumer example, but I think you'll be able to understand how this could occur. No, you know what? I'm going to give you a B2B example. Two
Whatever you want.
heating, okay, two heating and air conditioning companies. On paper, they look exactly the same. They're both they are both in the inner city area of, two mid-sized cities. So maybe one is in Cleveland and one is in Indianapolis, and they're both downtown heating and air conditioning companies, 10, 12 employees. And on the surface, those two businesses look like they're exactly the same. And so if you're going to come in as a business consultant to one or the other of these owners, you're like, I got this. I know the heating and air conditioning industry. But you got to look deeper. Is it a new owner who's just taken over an existing business? Is it someone who's been running the company for 25 years and is thinking about planning his exit strategy? Is it a partnership? So you've got different ownership strategies. How vested is the business owner in the business? Is this their only business? Is it one of several businesses? It's going to change how they have their attention. How good is their staff? How competitive are they in their market? Are they well established? Do they, have they been doing a lot in the marketplace? Are they really a name brand, or are they an up and comer? And all of these little things really change. And you may find, you know what? I really work well with the guys that have been doing this for a long time and are looking to just up their game. Or, you know what? I really have great strategies for somebody who is in that early stage and is just like, they don't know what they don't know. And I'm going to do different marketing. I'm going to do different direct mail campaigns. I'm going to do different messaging in my follow-up emails. Because if I'm sending a letter to somebody who's been doing it for 25 years and the whole tone is, you probably don't know this and you probably don't know that, trash, next, move on.
Yeah. No.
So,
good stuff.
So you look at not just the superficial, but you really dive in. On a consumer product, this one is always fun. Two twin brothers sitting on a park bench. Okay, can you see those two guys sitting side by side? They both went to law school, and they're both employed as lawyers. Mm-hmm. They're both married. And so on paper, age, income, profession, marital status, you're like, I know how to market to these two middle-aged guys. They're both in their early 50s.
Wow.
However, one is maybe a partner in a big law firm, and the other is an attorney at the Southern Poverty Law Group, or he's been in the district attorney's office for years, or the public defender's office. So all of a sudden that changes. Or maybe they're partners in the same law firm, but one is married to his high school sweetheart, and their youngest child is just in their junior year in college, finishing up. They're looking at their life going, we could get rid of the minivan and I could buy that 2-seater Audi I always wanted. We can plan that European vacation if COVID ever goes away.
Right.
But the other one is also married, but to a much younger woman. And she has just told him she's pregnant.
So now,
Guess what?
yeah.
He's worrying about 529 accounts. He's planning annual passes to Disney World. He's selling his two-seater Audi.
To his brother.
Yeah, to his brother.
They're swapping cars.
so, so again, if you just look at the superficial age, income, marital status, you miss the subtleties. And so figure out which of those two guys is a better candidate for your product. Another way to kind of dive deeper is as you look at your customers, start dividing them into different buckets. There are the raving fans, the regular users, the people that come back over and over and over again. Well, they're candidates for a referral program. They're candidates for a quantity discount. And then you have the very occasional, almost don't want to give you their contact info. How do you engage them? How do you bring them in and make them aware of other services? Again, the people that know and love you don't need the, oh, by the way, we have this. By the way, we have this. Did you know we do this? Don't waste their time. The people that don't know you as well, that are more likely to change brands if somebody offers a better price. You need to be constantly putting it in front of them, reminding them of your value, and maybe letting them know, not only do we do this, but we do this too. Did you know?
Yeah. No, very true. It's very true. It can be so different. And just, I think you can make a lot of mistakes if you don't do it right. That's the thing. And a lot of people keep it so high level that they're making a lot of mistakes down in the, what you call, where you do the actual funnel.
And, it's okay to have more than one funnel. If you can juggle it and you have the bandwidth, divide your target into smaller segments and go, okay, which one first? Who do I care about? Where do I start? And once you get that funnel running, now go back and go, okay, so for people that kind of fit over here, can I create a custom landing page for them? Can I bring them in through a totally different channel? And the answer is yes. These days, your homepage isn't the be all and end all of your website. You can have multiple points of entry and really use that to connect with different people.
Yeah, that is very, very, very true. It's interesting how much it has changed and how much different areas are emerging as well. So it's crazy. So why do we say goodbye to some clients? I think we talked about it a little bit.
I think there is a moment that you realize that you're not doing your best work, that you're not getting the results, and that no amount of juggling, changing, tweaking is going to really make a difference. Number one, I think that depresses the hell out of you. I think it really makes your team uncomfortable and unhappy, and it creates tension with the client. And the second thing is that while you're trying to put lipstick on a pig, you're missing opportunities to find that ideal client and build that ideal relationship. When it's going south, ramp up your marketing, make sure you should always have multiple irons in the fire. And my rule is that no single client should ever represent, such a large part of your business that if they went away, it'll hurt, but it should never, get to where one client means you're going to have to lay off one of your people. I mean, you really should always diversify. So, have a plan. I'm going to cut this client loose and I'm going to go to these 4 networking events. I'm going to run another ad. I'm going to reach back out to these 3 other people that kind of bubbled up that I didn't have time to deal with and see where they are.
Exactly.
and just start moving.
Just start moving. Yeah. I mean, we've been there and done that in our business. And like I said, we don't go after the elephants as much anymore because we couldn't handle them anyway. And we weren't doing a good job. And we decided to move in a different direction. And it's been the best move. So
Absolutely.
yeah, that is great. Great stuff, Lorraine.
Thank
And
you.
I'm going to be on Lorraine's on this Friday, and we're going to be talking about this fun thing called LinkedIn Live. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And also next Tuesday, I will have her compadre, Jennifer Denny. So we're going to continue our marketing discussion. So we'll have to find a great new topic in marketing. And if anybody wants to talk about anything in marketing, get in touch with us and ask a question, and we'll ask Jennifer what her spin is on it.
Awesome.
Awesome. So thanks for being here, everybody. And we will see you on Friday on Lorraine's Live, everybody. Jump on over. I'll put the link in the chat.